Hello and welcome to my channel. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to dye clothing using RIT all-purpose liquid dye with the stovetop method. I'll show you all of my materials and the entire process. I'll also use the RIT Color Stay Dye Fixative after I've dyed my pants to reduce the bleeding and fading of the final result. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get started. I'm using some off-white color pants. The fabric blend is 98% cotton and 2% spandex, so I can use the RIT all-purpose liquid dye to dye them. For supplies, I have my 20-quart stainless steel pot. You'll need a big pot, big enough to fit at least 3 gallons of water per pound of fabric. Whatever pot or container you use, keep in mind that you will not be able to use it for food use in the future. Then I have my bottles of RIT dye. I used 3 kinds of green, hoping to achieve a nice medium green color. I have apple green, Kelly green, and dark green. I also have my bottle of RIT Color Stay Fixative. You'll also need a teaspoon of dish soap and a cup of salt if you're using cotton. I have a pair of rubber gloves, a mixing tool, and another bucket for the Color Stay Fixative and rinsing. A quick note about dye blends is that you can go to RIT's website and see a whole list of combinations of liquid dyes to achieve different colors. So to get started, I fixed my stainless steel pot with 3 gallons of water, and I brought the temperature up to at least 140 degrees Fahrenheit. And they recommend that you try and keep the temperature at that heat for the entire time. While that is heating up, they say to pre-wash your fabric or at least pre-wet it. When I got to the right temperature, I added my teaspoon of dish soap and my cup of salt, and I stirred that in. Then I shook my bottles of dye and poured in the amount recommended. They say to use at least a half a bottle for 1 pound of fabric. Because I'm using 3 different colors, I'll be using about a half a cup each. Then I stirred the dye into the water. I'll use a bit less of the dark green because I don't want my pants to be too dark. Next, I added my pants unfolded to the pot. You want to make sure that the dye is touching the fabric equally and there are no folds or creases, otherwise you'll be left with uneven dyed fabric. I began to stir it to incorporate the dye all over the fabric, and I set my timer for 30 minutes and kept stirring. During that time, I began to heat water for my bucket and the Color Stay Fixative. They say that you need to soak your fabric immediately after dyeing it, so I filled my bucket with hot water and added about 4 ounces or half the bottle of the Color Stay Fixative. Once the 30 minutes was up, I moved my pants to the bucket of Color Stay Dye Fixative. The directions said to stir occasionally for 20 minutes. After that, I rinsed the pants in cold water until the water ran mostly clear. Next, I moved my pants to the laundry for a wash in warm water with a light detergent. After the wash, I hung my pants and let them air dry overnight, and this is the final result. As you can see, it picked up a lot of the Kelly green. It's like a really pure spring green with just a hint of the dark green. Overall, the color is pretty consistent throughout the pants. There are no noticeable creases or marks where dye wasn't consistent. It even dyed the button of my pants green, which I think is fun. In the future, I would try to use more apple green and less of the bluish greens to get a warmer green outcome, but I'm loving this result. It was super easy to dye the pants and they came out great. I hope that this tutorial was helpful for anyone trying to dye their clothes at home using the RIT liquid dye and the stovetop method. Thanks so much for watching.